Hi, I'm Casey, and my reading slump is killing me. Hi pals, if you're new here, I am Casey. I do all the good booktube content you see from everyone else, and today we're gonna do my March wrap up. I read 11 things in March, which is absolutely shocking to me because I feel like I read nothing. I feel like I read absolutely nothing. I don't think, no, that's not true. I finished a book in the last week. But oh boy, has the reading slump really gotten to me, and has real life bullshit just sort of taken all the fun out of all the day-to-day stuff, so it's been hard to read. So I'm going to quickly go through the books that I read, and we're gonna talk about like the star ratings I gave them, and I'll do superlatives at the end, at least to the best of my ability. I gave no rating to Biased by Jennifer L. Eberhardt, PhD, Mouse, both volumes by Art Spiegelman. I had no 1 or 2 stars for the month of March, so my 3 stars were Everything Belongs to Us by Eugen Grace Wirtz, Psyche and Eros by Luna McNamara, and What Can We Offer You Tonight by Premi Mohammed. My 4 stars for the month were Chainsaw Man Volume 7, The Shadow of Perseus by Claire Haywood, Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice, and Rochi, The Perfect Edition Volume 1 by Kazuo Umez. My 5 stars for the month were You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Kweke Emezi, and The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. Okay, normally for wrap-ups, I do a full little sheet where I write out my superlatives and everything in advance, and this month, since I only read 11 books, and I'm absolutely letting the reading slump and the life slump take over my life right now, I didn't fill it out because, I don't know, I wasn't in the mood for it, so we're gonna kind of do all this stuff off the top of my head right now, and I guess we're gonna start with the worst. Okay, so I think by technicality, this is gonna go to Everything Belongs to Us by Eugen Grace Wirtz. I'm not going to continue to hold that book because the camera keeps focusing on it and not my face. This is a historical fiction set in Seoul, 1978. This is following a group of young people as there is a current labor movement going, and these people in their like early to mid 20s, it's people whose lives are sort of interconnected, like in and out, trying to, you know, find positions of power, but also find independence, but also trying to, you know, deal with the pressures of generational wealth, but also the pressures of generational poverty. And overall, it was very interesting. I would say maybe the first fifth of the book was a little dry for me. It was just setting up a lot, and while I understand that, I didn't find it particularly interesting, and I had a hard time getting invested into it. Most of the meat of the book, I would say probably a good like 2/3 maybe of it, I thought was very interesting, and I had a very good time with it, and I cared a lot about like what our characters were doing and what was happening. But unfortunately the end really fell off for me. It lost a lot of momentum and like steam in what was going on, and it makes a lot of sense for what's going on in the story, you know, as people come in and out of your lives, and you know, you just kind of hit these portions of your lives that slow down. But it just, for me, I thought that there was a lot of buildup for it to just kind of not do a lot with the ending for. And I enjoyed it and I had a good time with it, but I'm not keeping that book because my spouse has their work has a really fun thing going on right now of a book exchange, so I will be taking that up tomorrow, and that's the only reason I'm giving it worst out of all my other 3 stars. Again, kind of off the cuff here, looking through the books that I read in March, I'm gonna have to give my most disappointing to Chainsaw Man Volume 7. I gave it 4 stars, it was still good, but if I look at all the books I read in the last month, it is definitely the one that I found to be the most disappointing. This is volume 7 of a manga series, following Denji, who has who is like, he's not a fiend. I don't even know what he technically is, but he has a chainsaw devil for a heart, and so he can transform into this like chainsaw devil thing. But this is volume 7 of the series, and I really found this to be disappointing because I felt like every single manga and volume in the series has been better than the previous one, except for this one. This one felt like a bit of a backslide to me. And I think that has a lot to do with, there's a lot of new threads introduced, there's a lot of new concepts and ideas going on in this one, and a lot of new characters, but nothing really progressed or saw, you know, any momentum or saw a conclusion in this. It was just a lot of new shit introduced without anything sort of you know, wrapping up, and it ends on, like, a lot of these mangas have ended on kind of a cliffhangery ending, but this one I found to be particularly just annoying, and it's the first time where I wasn't excited to pick up the next one. Now, it's still very good, I still very much enjoyed it, but overall for me, I felt like this has been one of the weakest of the series so far. Moving on to my most surprising, and I'm gonna give that to Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. Again, I'm not holding the book because my camera can't get its shit together today. I really enjoyed this one. It's the first time I've reread this one since maybe middle school or high school. I think I've mentioned it on this channel before. The first time I read this book was when I was in 4th grade, because that's appropriate. This is the first time I've reread this one in a really long time. I'm gonna grab the book again. You can see I have like a really old, the spine's broken in a lot of places. Oh my god, I found an old bookmark in here. Holy shit. Okay. Yeah, fun. This is when I was learning how to cross stitch. And I made this for my mother, and it was in here. Oh my god, that's really cool. I'm gonna cry. I have this extremely old paperback that I think was bought when I was in 4th grade. Which was pretty close to when the movie came out, and I was very interested in this because I thought vampires were cool, and my mom bought it so we could read it, and I read it at a very young age, which was not appropriate. This is the story of Louis as he is telling his vampire life story to a young man who is interviewing him. It's not really an interview, they call it with an interview, they talk about it in the book, but he's just telling his life story when Lestat turns him into a vampire, and they become Claudia's surrogate fathers, and what happened to all of them as, you know, as time went on in finding the vampire Armand. I was really surprised at how well this held up. For a book published, I believe, in 1978, I really expected this, especially dealing with, you know, Louis' life, and his vampiric life starts in the 1700s or something in the French Quarter in Louisiana. I expected it to be full of really racist stereotypes and to possibly have a lot of slurs thrown in. I was very surprised. There's none of that. It does talk about, you know, slaves and enslaved people and their role in this story. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I thought it was compelling. It is one of the things I remember the most vividly reading this last month, and having such a good time with him, wanting to keep coming back and back to it. Okay, and moving on to my best of the month. You will notice I read no nonfiction in March. I am the Vroom Vroom Struggle Bus. So I'm just going to talk about my 2 5-stars quickly. One of which I will give explanation for, and one of which I may not. We will see. The first 5-star I want to talk about is The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. This is the last book in the Lake Witch trilogy by this author, and oh my god, I'm so sad it's over. I'm so sad. I gave every book in this series 5 stars. I think that this is probably the second best of the trilogy. I think Don't Fear the Reaper is just the weakest of the books, but still incredibly strong. This is a horror following Jade Daniels. She is back in Proof Rock. She is teaching history at the high school, and stuff is going wrong again. And we are following her as she is just attempting to live through another slasher cycle. This absolutely broke my heart. I cried so many times while reading it. We were having to do a bunch of cooking this last week, and I would be like watching something on the stove, listening to the audiobook, and then just start pacing around, just sitting there going, no, 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 and crying. And so it was great. I loved it. I thought it was a beautiful wrap up to this story. And I just really loved it. I thought it was really good. I was really happy that we went back to fully Jade's perspective all the time. I think in the second book, it's very important to see sort of, you know, communal trauma around a big event. But I was very happy that we went back to just being from Jade's perspective, because I liked living in her head, and I still do. And I'm so sad that it's over. But I am so happy that it finished off so strong. Okay, and onto my other 5-star of the month. You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Kweke Emezi. I don't want to explain myself. I really don't want to explain myself. I was convinced this one was not 5 stars for me until the very end, and throughout most of the book I in fact thought I was going to give it 1 or 2 stars. Oh my god, I have to explain myself here. This was wild. This was a wild one. I don't want to explain myself. This is a romance following Faye, a young woman in her, I believe, late 20s. Her husband passed away tragically a few years ago, and she is now putting herself back out into, you know, into romance and love. Is that even how you explain it? Fuck it. She just goes to a party and has sex with a man in a bathroom, and then they end up becoming friends with benefits, and then she meets one of his friends, and they kind of have an emotional connection, so she starts trying to start a relationship with him, and then during the process of that, she meets his father, who's 19 years her senior, and then she falls really head over heels in love and lust with him. That's the synopsis of the book. This was a mess. Nope. This was a mess. Not like plot and everything. I think it all makes, it made a lot of sense. But the characters are just messes. They're people and they're messes. And there came a certain point in the book, I want to say maybe about 85% of the way through it, where I don't want to talk about why I gave this book 5 stars. There came a point in time in this book, about 85% of the way through, where I suddenly started making connections, not to my life, but to someone I loved's life, and fuck it. Hi, I'm Casey. My dad was 21 years older than my mom. And, you know, it was when you're talking about, like, there were just certain things in here that just kind of made me feel for my mom a bit. You know, and just, you know, you're just trying to live your life, and life keeps kicking you, and you can't help how things happen. And that's why I gave it 5 stars. I got to a point where I just really love these characters. I really, not identified with them, but I found them to be very compelling for very personal reasons. And I just hit a point where I was like, nope, I love this. I have to give it 5 stars. And that's it. I'm done explaining myself. Okay, that's it. That's my March wrap up. Please feel free to do algorithm things if you feel like it. Like, comment, subscribe. I will see you next Friday. By the way, sorry for no video last week. We had to do a bunch of shit that honestly I didn't want to do, and something had to give. So unfortunately it was a video for last week. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I will see you next time. And yeah, that's it. Bye, pals.